Hello there, Cancer, and welcome to your July reading. It's great to see everyone again. And just a reminder, every month you can use these videos for your rising sun and for your moon signs as well. Let's get straight into your reading now. The first part of each monthly reading that I do, if you're brand new, involves a little bit of channeled information. And the first thing that I do is I find a deck of cards that I'm going to use for your sign, then I meditate. And for you, as I was meditating, one very clear message came in, and that was one of transparency. And what I mean by transparent is this is a good month where you can open up to those around you, and basically don't keep things too close to your heart. If I were to like represent what not to do, it would be like in tarot, it would be like the Four of Pentacles, where you're kind of withholding or keeping things to yourself. Instead, you want to be at a point where maybe you can talk to people and get constructive feedback, or to check your assumptions. That's another thing. But with transparency comes trust a lot of times, because when you hold back, that's when people start to wonder what's going on, or why they have a difficult time reading you. So you'll experience more success in work and also success in relationships this month if you're willing to share a little bit first. And a lot of times that's what it takes for other people to open up as well. So don't be afraid to take that first step and talk to somebody first. Tell them a little bit about what you're afraid of or what you're interested in, and that can really set the tone for openness and trust. All right, so let's go ahead and shuffle the deck of cards here. And for those of you that are brand new, let me just tell you a little bit about how I organize this. I start off with channeled information, which we just talked about. I go into a Celtic cross spread to look at the general information and energy for the month, and then I expand it out to look at health, wealth, love, and destiny. So let's go ahead and pull the cards and see what's coming through for your sign, and then we will take a look at the expanded forecast in a moment. I also pull an additional card which I call the Catalyst, and the Catalyst, much as you would kind of assume because of the name, is all about how to set the energy in motion for the month, but it's also how to keep it together. So let's see what your Catalyst message is for the month of July. So we have this illumination card here, a candle. Couple things here. When you start with, I'm getting actually that this is a month to like spark inspiration. And things start sometimes just as a tiny little flame and then can evolve into a beautiful, bright idea. So I want you to, both for your own ideas and for others, give them a chance to grow. Give them a chance to burn a little bit, to gain some strength, to have people notice them. So if you're in a relationship where you're used to maybe speaking a lot, let your partner come up with some of the ideas or some of the plans. Or if you're in a large group at work, this is a chance to let everybody shine. And don't kill an idea or don't say no to something before you have a chance to think about it. So it's basically saying give things a chance. And the other thing here we see is illumination is the subtext of this, which is for you to dig a little deeper and to shine some more light on things that maybe you're afraid of, or if there's patterns that have been coming up again and again in your life. This card is about, basically, it's almost like the Hermit. When you think of the Hermit, he or she always holds a lantern, and that lantern symbolizes illumination, and it's the way to the star. There's always a star in the lantern. So for you, I'm getting a little sense of the Hermit with that card, which is, don't be afraid to go into the unknown or into the dark places. You are protected by light, and you can only bring more light and knowledge to those areas. And that's really what, as light workers, we all want to do, is to basically face our fears, stare them straight down, and neutralize them, bring them into a place of understanding. Fear only has power if you turn away or if you don't face it. Shadows only grow if you don't face them as well. So face the shadows, face the fear, bring your light, and know that you're protected. Okay? And again, this is all about honesty, transparency, not hiding. All right, let's now look at the cards, and we'll continue the interpretation for the month. Your center card is the Seven of Swords, specifically speaking to relationships in the context of this card, and it's crossed by the Wheel of Fortune. So I really feel like this has to do with work relationships this month. Trust within work relationships, not trusting people in particular, because this card is reversed and this is on top of it. This is about affecting change or creating a shift within that lack of trust, which we talked about. Don't be afraid to talk to someone, to in a non-threatening way confront and say, listen, I feel the tension. Let's talk about it. What's going on? Listen to them. Don't immediately kind of go in and say, this is how I'm feeling. Like, actually wait and ask. So conflict resolution, if you can't do it yourself, maybe ask for some assistance. The other thing is, I want you to be very careful of written, spoken, texted communication this month. With the Ace of Swords in reverse, it means that your words could ricochet, or they could come back or bounce back in a way that is not intended. We forget how powerful our words are. Sometimes we just say something in passing to, a friend or a loved one, and it wasn't meant to be harmful, but all of a sudden that's kind of replaying in their mind, and they don't have the right context, or we didn't sort of set up the right context for them. So don't be afraid to check in with people if you feel like they're pulling back a little bit. And don't be afraid to clarify yourself and say, hey, I think you might have misunderstood what I was saying. I meant to say this. All right, we have the Seven of Pentacles in your recent past, which is showing me that some of you are really working to improve finances, might be recovering from certain habits or debts or loans. So I want you to continue to eradicate those if you have them. And if you're in a comfortable place with your money, this is saying you could benefit from saving more. Although I'm all for generosity and philanthropic efforts, this is saying make sure that you're taking care of all of your affairs first before you extend to others. And that includes like children and grandchildren or loved ones in your life that might be asking for a lot. Just make sure that you can do it before you do it. And if you can and you want to, great. But this is saying don't overextend. And that is especially the case if you're just starting to feel that sense of recovery when it comes to your finances. There's some delays or some challenges with travel, particularly if you decide to take or make a trip in the second week of the month. I would really wait until the latter part. The last 4 or 5 days of the month are going to be the best for you. But we have the Six of Swords in reverse, which is indicating some of you wanting, it's like a desire or an overdue vacation or holiday. So especially for those of you that are in the Northern Hemisphere, this is summertime, this is vacation time. Give yourself a chance to do that. I feel like some of you might have delayed it from June. Now we're into July. It's time. So don't wait too long. I would say within the next 4 to 6 weeks, make sure you make some sort of a plan to enjoy your vacation. As I'm looking at your opportunities this month, around the middle of it, we see the Princess of Wands in reverse, basically saying don't get too rigid in the ways of your own thinking. And there might be something that opens up, either a relationship opportunity or an opportunity with work. But if you're too sort of like focused on, it's almost like having the horse blinders on, you're going to miss what's going on right next to you, or you might miss some sort of a signal that would bring you towards a better solution. Again, with the swords in reverse here, we have Princess of Swords reversed in your ego position, which is saying not only don't speak without thinking, but also don't take to heart other people's words too much. For the same reasons I was mentioning at the beginning, criticism is criticism. Whether or not it's constructive or true, you're going to have to be the judge. But you have the ability to sort of say, I'll take that under consideration. And that doesn't mean that every single word that someone says has to be your truth. Listen to it, think about the filters through which they're speaking, and think if those filters and those biases apply to you, and if not, then that's just a negative person in your life. Whenever I see like a Princess or a Queen of Swords card in reverse, it can also indicate a very harsh person in your life, a boss, a sister, a mother, usually feminine influence. But if that's the case, give this person some distance. We have the Six of Swords here. This is about you stepping away from negativity in your life if you need to. Interesting that we have the Hermit card here. We were talking about that. I really believe that that's what it's about. This card is reversed. But if you look at what I was talking about, there's always a lantern, and in many decks you'll actually see a star within it. But it doesn't matter because we've got the message here. We've got a need to step into uncomfortable areas of your life and to bring knowledge, understanding, and that sort of clear, non-judgmental sort of understanding, and think, all right, I need to deal with this. I'm ready. It's about that first step before you ask for help, realizing that you actually need help in a certain area. So it's not a sign of weakness, whatever that is, whether it's financial help, support, just as far as like I need assistance getting it done, or maybe some sort of support like with counseling, whatever you need. Just accept the fact first that it's okay to ask and then ask. Is that what that card is saying? When I'm looking at really what you're afraid of this month, some of you are just afraid of letting go. And the Temperance card in reverse is sort of you trying to put on a really good show for other people, but inside you're kind of still needing some TLC. And you don't want to, you've got to let the water energy flow through this month. Because I'm not getting a lot of Cups cards. There's a lot of air and fire, a lot of swords, a lot of wands, and some earth here. But yeah, you're lacking the water. So I would say let your emotions flow and be realistic with them. Be careful not to speak if you are kind of like upset. It would be better instead to seek out that assistance or take some time off, because sometimes that's all we need. Vacations aren't just self-indulgent. They're actually a necessity for living. If you think of children and dogs, I mention them a lot because although they need a lot of assistance in other areas, they're kind of perfect when it comes to understanding how to regulate. So a child, regulate emotions in particular. A child will move through a whole range of emotions, but they don't hold on to them. As adults, we over-intellectualize them. Even the fact that we're talking about all of this, a kid would be in the other room playing. And on some levels, they understand what we should be doing. And same thing with my dog. It's either napping or playing or wanting to go on for a walk. Its needs are simple, and it doesn't, as long as it's being taken care of, it's pretty happy. We need to find a way to let the emotions, kind of like a kid, go. We don't want to have the terrible two tantrums, but I'm thinking more of like a 6 or 7 year old where they're kind of on that precipice of growing up, but they still know how to have fun. And if they're angry, they're really not angry in 2 hours. So all kids, I can already see some people saying, you don't know my kid. But I would say we're speaking in large like broad strokes here. Kids have a better way of not holding grudges. So don't hold a grudge, let things go, let your emotions go. And if you can't do it in a sort of group setting or with a counselor, I always mention something like dancing, running, painting, writing. You got to get it out somehow. Or if you need to sing or laugh, go to a comedy show. You know, there's different ways you can get rid of emotions. It can be through tears, laughter, speaking, or some sort of artistic expression. Of course, breath work is great, which is why I'm a big advocate of yoga. So pranayamic breathing and meditation will also be of great assistance to you. So we're ending on a very good note. As I look at the last week of the month, we have the 10 of Wands. So I do think if there was delay, any sort of delay in travel, moving, excuse me, advancement, it seems like the wheel shifts by the end of the month. And so if you're having difficulty in making the plans, anytime towards the end of the month, the last week is really good to make that happen. And for many of you, I think it would be good for this vacation to not be local. So think of going to another state, province, or country. You need to get out of your comfort zone and out of the group of friends and people that you have. The other thing is many of you are starting to get ready to move on to a new phase in your life. We have very subtle cues here. The reverse, which are showing me that you're still thinking about them, but the Six of Swords happens sometimes when there's trial separations, or it can happen if someone is, you know, getting ready to leave this plane, you know, sort of a shift from, you know, maybe someone that has an illness or is sick and is getting ready to transition. But it can also just mean, hey, I'm anxious, I'm ready, I wanna move on. And this card is about moving on. So I see some sort of a delicate shift happening between the dreaming and the doing. So hopefully you'll understand how it applies to you. So that's the main messages for this month. Let's expand it now and look at health, wealth, love, and destiny. And then at the end, I'll summarize everything and we'll make some connections maybe that I didn't see at the beginning. All right, so let's start with your health card. Health, I like to remind everyone, is not a singular thing. It encompasses your mind, your body, your spirit. Yours is to take care of yourself, to heal. We notice the number 17 on this. I would say the 8th and the 17th are both really good days for you to do anything like see a doctor, get a massage, go in for an elective surgery, doing things like that. Also, we notice this is sort of a version of the devil card here too, with the chains being let free. So what I would say is, if there is some sort of a relationship in your life that you feel like, I have had it, I can't do this anymore, that card is basically saying it's your right, it's your decision to move forward. Don't be afraid. So we're going to look and see what Ganesha has to say about, we looked at health, we're looking at your wealth and career. I like Ganesha here because it's about removing obstacles, and so sometimes it has something to do with work, and a lot of times it has to do with yourself. We're getting a lot of messages about healing, and it's interesting because I picked up on that there's something going on emotionally or internally this month, and it could have a negative effect on your work if you don't remedy it, if you don't take care of it. And this card was reversed when I pulled it. I don't always read reversals with the oracles, but I am going to on this. So I feel like there's something you've been putting off. Listen, this is almost like a self-nurturing card. It's time for you to take care of yourself. Better attention to diet, to rest, to having fun. We talked about relaxation. And there's been studies done where the more you sort of, if you have time to play, it makes you more productive. So I think for many of you, the balance is just lacking. So work, life, fun, balance needs to sort of come into more of an equilibrium. All right, so we looked at health, we looked at wealth. Let's take a look at your love card, which really will go across all relationships. And we have facing fear, which is what I talked about at the beginning. We have Kali here saying, major spiritual changes are unfolding. This is your chance to soar. So the interesting thing about fear, I'm writing a book, one day it'll be out, but one of the sort of things that I talk about is fear. And fear is a shadow in our life. And if we don't face it head on, then there's this, it's the same as sort of giving it power. So with fear, the way to deal with it is to sort of like acknowledge it's there, to breathe, and to think, really, what is it that's causing my fear? Is it a fear of failure? Is it a fear of being seen? Is it a fear of being laughed at or whatever? Or is it just an irrational fear that I need to move past and just sort of like, it's almost like the first time you go swimming, you might be afraid of the water, but once you get in, you feel like, wow, this actually really feels very good. And if I stay on the shallow side and kind of work my way in, I'll learn how to get comfortable in it. So it's the same thing with fear. Start with the shallow end, work your way towards the deeper end, and pretty soon you're going to have the ability to swim right through it. Let's take a look now at, we looked at health, wealth, love. Let's look at your destiny card. And for destiny, I like to kind of consider this your wayfinding card, like your big GPS. And if you don't like where you're headed, this is basically, think of it as your Google Maps card. You can always just take a turn off of that, and then it will start to redirect and everything changes. All right, so we have the star here, which is beautiful, and it's saying you need to come out of your shell. The star card in tarot, whether it's this deck or others, is about you kind of like showing others what to do, not necessarily falling within the pre-described or preordained or preconditioned opportunities that you have. Most of us that are listening to this channel are either waking up, awake, we're light workers, we're healers, and we sort of operate from this modality, which is, I have to shine even if it's uncomfortable, even if others laugh at me, even if people don't understand, because one day these will be seen as teachings, as knowledge, and we won't be laughed at. So don't be afraid to speak your truth. This is a card of celebrity. So for those of you that are maybe used to sort of being more in the background or more in the support area of others' lives, this is saying don't be afraid now to take that energy and shine yourself. And it's also for those of you that might be in a position to help others grow. It's a mentor card. But I like the idea that we see this star card as a constellation, and this one also having sort of like reincarnation tones to it as well. So you're basically coming through in this life, and this is your chance now to, in particular, the message is don't be afraid to align to your soul's purpose. That's why we keep reincarnating. We've set up certain lessons, and one of yours is to be seen or to help other people be seen. So work in that role of outreach. Okay, let's look at all of the cards together. This is probably my favorite part because it gives us a chance to take everything and make sense of it a little bit more. Your main message that was channeled before I even started reading was to be transparent, to be open. And really, now in retrospect, that is the Star card. It's about being seen, it's about allowing others to see what you have to say and not shying away from that. When we look at your catalyst this month, it was about illuminating, going into the darkness. And when we look at the environment card, that's really what's needed to solve the problems in your life. So we have two really nice connections between channeled information and a catalyst. And now let's take a look at all of the cards, and I'll summarize quickly here. Big issue towards the beginning of the month is trust within work relationships. That transparency we talked about should help that. If there's a negative person either in your love life or in your friends or family circle coming through, here's Princess of Swords, I would say space is better. It's not necessary to kind of like get in an argument with this person. Sometimes separation or moving on is what's needed. What's really important this month is balance. Balance in your emotions, balance in your finance, balance in how you spend your time, remaining open with your mind and allowing other people's thoughts and intuition to enter into your consciousness if it works. Planning and taking a trip, making space for yourself, also very important. I'm not seeing a lot when it comes to dating this month for those of you that are single. When we have the Queen, or when we have these two Princess cards rather in reverse, it's showing me that it will be a little difficult to be able to speak and or understand people this month, probably until the last week of the month. So I would say the beginning part, take care of yourself. If you do feel sort of a tendency or desire to want to create, to date new people or make new friends, it's really looking much better towards the end of the month. And if you're in a relationship, it's saying that the space is going to help you. Try not to get into arguments. Try not to be too stubborn. Give them some space. And both of you need to do some work in balancing out your energy, and that's really what's going to help. And then the expanded cards, when we look at health, take care of yourself. It's a great month to move past any sort of addictions or anything that you've been unable or unwilling to deal with up until now. When we look at wealth, it's the same message. If you don't take care of yourself and heal, then you're not going to get past those boundaries at work. People recognize that you're out of sorts a little bit. Or you're not fully realizing your potential, even if you're very successful, because some of you may say, you know what, I'm fine. This is just saying, well, take a little more care of yourself. You'll be even better if you do that. When we look at love, we talked about facing fear. So if there's someone in your life that's intimidating you, if you're dealing with fear based on how you were raised, if you're afraid of relationships at work, this is about facing the fears and starting to eliminate them by becoming stronger yourself and by not feeding those sort of people in your life that like to push your buttons. And the most important card I think today is actually your Destiny one. And this is about being true to yourself, being transparent, allowing people to see all that you have to offer and not being ashamed, afraid, or unwilling to share that with others. So I hope this was helpful for you. If you'd ever like a personal reading, I do offer those, and there'll be a link at the end of this video and also in the description if you're interested in that. A great way to stay in touch, just so that you know when I try new videos or meditations, you can actually subscribe to the channel. And there's two things that you can do. There's a subscribe and then a little bell, and the bell will opt you into emails so that you know when they're posted. If you prefer to be a little bit more private and you'd rather not use like YouTube for that, I have a newsletter, so you can sign up for that as well. This month I'm going to try something new, which is the reason I'm mentioning staying in touch. I'm going to do weeklies for this month as a trial. I'm not sure if I'll continue it, but I've had a lot of questions about that. So I'm going to try it for a month and we'll see where that goes. So keep me posted on that. Another way to stay in touch, I'm on all the social networks, so you can join me on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. And I believe that sort of summarizes everything. If you also want to support the channel, there's a link to donate, but that's completely optional. Otherwise, I just want to say thank you, because your support, your enthusiasm, and the work that you guys are doing on yourselves is really what motivates me each month to continue this. So I just want to say thank you. Keep the likes, the subscribes, and all the comments coming. And I wish you the best in the days and the weeks to come. Much, much love, success, and abundance. See you very soon. Bye-bye.